dealing with all this stuff on top of just trying to put together a football team, but you'll have injuries, and now you have COVID. And you got guys that suddenly kind of just disappear because they're in quarantine. They may not have COVID, but they're in quarantine. How challenging is this? And are you finding yourself having to say, okay, you're going to need to take some reps at receiver, or you're going to have to do this to try to be prepared in case?
Well, yeah, the biggest challenge for us is trying to do most of our offense out of different personnel groups. So if it's 12 personnel, which is 2 tight ends and 2 receivers, if it's 21 with 2 tailbacks out there rather than a fullback and a tailback to get us to where we can basically have 3 skill type guys out there, meaning one of the tailbacks and then 2 wide receivers. Or if it's just, using a hybrid guy like a Sammy Wheeler or even a Jax Deneen as far as the skill set, where you're filling some of those, quote, 11 personnel or 3 receiver sets with guys that you feel like are athletic enough to help you in space.
Kellis?
Hey, Courtney, you guys get a unique opportunity to scout a team this weekend while you guys are off. What kind of advantage does that maybe give you guys heading into that first game?
Hopefully it'll give us a very good advantage just from the standpoint of seeing them play and seeing them line up and being able to evaluate new guys that are going to be playing for their defense. They've lost a number of guys on defense, but yet from what we understand, they've got a few transfers in and some new guys that will be starting for them. So obviously the ability to see them line up and just play and evaluate, who's their best players as we see it. And then the other thing, you're hoping that a Memphis ends up in some of the same formations and or personnel groupings that we'll be in. You would think Memphis will run some run games similar to us. But Memphis is brand new also, meaning that, that their head coach left and went to Florida State, and now they've got a new system and new guys. Even though a number of them were holdovers, it's still going to be a new offense.
One other question I've been meaning to ask you is, thinking back to last season, you might have a different definition of a trick play than me. I can't remember you guys like truly going all razzle dazzle on anything. What's your philosophy on pulling those out? Do you not really like to use them ever, or what's the deal?
Well, it's kind of the normal thing where generally speaking, and not always, you're thinking maybe the 30, 35 yard line, you pull something like that out and trying to maybe get a free score. But then that always makes me nervous once we're inside the 50-yard line and all of a sudden you have one that doesn't work, and that puts you 2nd and 10. And I've got to do a better job of saying that's okay. 2nd and 10 is not a bad deal, taking the risk of having a big play that could create a touchdown for us. So we talk about it all the time. But I'm the one, though, that has to pull the trigger on game day. And we always carry about what I would consider to be 4 or 5 kind of, not trick maybe, but specials, plays you don't see every week from us. We just got to do a better job getting them called.
John Kirks.
Yeah, hey, Courtney, with the offense in general, with this group that you have this year, where would you say you feel like this offense is better than the version that you guys had last year?
Well, it has to be seen, and we got to go do it. But I think we're just because of the depth aspect, we're better at the receiver position because they're a year older. Obviously, replacing Dalton is going to be extremely hard. But you feel like from a talent standpoint, Joaquin's a year older, YB's a year older, Malik's a year older, Phillip Brooks is a year older. Replacing Dalton's going to be extremely hard, but you hope those other guys that are back will make us that much better. From a running back standpoint, I think Harry understands the offense so much better. Tyler Burns has made huge strides as far as just being a guy that feels much more comfortable in our offense. And then you had a number of true freshmen last year that got on the field and played some that I think they'll be better. So part of it is just kind of assuming that from a maturing process and now being a second year on the field, guys are going to be that much better in our system. But we still got to get out on the field and prove that and show that.
And where do you feel like right now the progress is on the offensive line, trying to break in, obviously, a lot of new guys there?
I feel really good with the communication aspect when we're in practice and when we're obviously going against a defense that we see every single day. The biggest concern I have is once the bullets start flying and we're out there in a game setting, and as much as you try to simulate in a scout team setting the front that Arkansas State's going to play, it's still not the same. We play more of a 4 down as our own defense, and Arkansas State's going to play more what we'd consider to be a 3 down, and it'll be new. So the communication aspect feels good right now, but the first drive in, hopefully we're all on the same page.
Thanks, Courtney.
Scott Friction. Hold on a second.
In the offensive line.
Oh, hit me up again. I apologize.
Who are your starting 5 right now in the offensive line?
Well, right now, if we were starting tomorrow, which obviously it's not that far away, but KT would be at left tackle. Our left guard, there's still obviously Josh Rivas kind of holds that position down. Noah Johnson be at the center for us. Right guard probably be Ben Adler, and then right tackle. We're still a little bit of a work in progress there. We feel really good about Cooper Beebe. We feel really good about Logan Long. We feel really good about Christian Duffy. There's about 8 guys that I would tell you that should be in the mix to play. I think the left side's a little bit more solidified. Obviously, Katori needs to be a guy that can really be a good player for us. Our little bit concern is just how do we make sure that we find 8 guys that can all jump in there and communicate, because like it or not, we didn't have spring ball. We didn't have summer conditioning the way you normally do. And all of a sudden you go out and try to play 70-play game or 75-play game. 5 O-linemen probably aren't going to hold up. We need to find 7 or 8.
So who would be maybe 7, 8, 9, 10 that you would look at?
Well, really, I think it would go back to saying the same with Logan Long and Christian Duffy and Cooper Beebe. Those guys being that 6, 7, 8, really. I lose count a little bit how many all have told, but I would say I feel comfortable that there's going to be, 8 or 9 guys competing to be in that position. Dawson Delforge has got to get here and actually see him play, but he's a guy that we feel like's a really good player and has done a good job fall camp. But again, when you go against the same defensive front every day, yeah, I'm ready to make that call. I'm ready to communicate. Oh, wait a minute. Now there's a whole different front. The movement skills are different as far as the defensive players. So are we able to communicate? But I feel good that we have 9 guys that'll keep competing.
Thank you.
Adam Marr.
The team captains were just announced, and on the offense, Noah Johnson and Skylar Thompson were named the team captains. Just how much of a impact does it make on this offense, you would say, for Noah and Skylar both being named by it and for the rest of the offense?
Well, I think that was a little bit of a no-brainer on Skylar, obviously, just because I think our players look at to him as a guy that should be a leader and is a leader. He's been successful in our offense. The guy that maybe some people wouldn't know would be Noah, but throughout this entire situation, Noah's done a great job trying to continue to teach the other linemen what we do, and he's a guy that didn't play as many reps as maybe you would think of to be a captain, but he was ready to play the entire year last year, and if he would have had to play last year, I don't think any of us would have been nervous about it. So then as he kind of became a leader of that group, being 5 seniors were gone, so who's the next guy up to kind of be that leader? He did it all year long. So I was not at all surprised by Noah, and I think he's done a good job, not just with the O-line, but with our offense as a whole. When he speaks, the running backs and tight ends and receivers all respect him and know that he's a guy that's all in. He cares about our program as much as anybody in the program.
And are you seeing much of a difference in the intensity and the mindset of the players to practice now that the first game days, single days away?
Yeah, I think that we've been fortunate. This group has been pretty focused the whole time. They understood that they lost out on a whole bunch of spring practice and really summer opportunities. So we've been pretty fortunate to have guys that are pretty focused. I think the biggest key is now they're starting to understand you got to hone in on the details. And you got to really start worrying about Arkansas State and not worrying as much about, how do we block, Wyatt Hubert. Now we got to worry about how do we block that next opponent.
Let's try to squeeze these last two in real quick with Ryan Black and Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Ryan.
Hey, Courtney, how you doing today?
Good. I'm good.
Hey, it seems like from the answers that we've gotten from just other people, there's maybe like 3 levels of the running backs right now. You've got the 2 upperclassmen with Harry and Tyler, and you've got the 2 redshirt freshmen who played last year, and Joe and Jacardier, and then you've got the true freshmen being Keon and Deuce. My question is, where does that leave the other 2 redshirt freshmen who didn't see the field at all last year with Thomas and Clyde? Is there any chance they're going to play this year? Just where are they at in their development?
Well, yeah. I'm not disappointed at all in their development. It's a little bit been more that the first guys you mentioned have been on the field and have shown things, and then two new young guys just bring a little bit different skill set. If I could tell you that everybody was going to stay healthy the whole year, I'd tell you those those tops, quote tops, the wrong term. Those 6 you mentioned in the 3 different tiers would be the guys that would take the most reps. That being said, with some of the COVID situation, a Mosey and a Deuce and a Jacardier, they all have really good ball skills. So, they might have to play some receiver type things at times. So, it's going to be how do we just fit the puzzle together each week. And we feel really good about the tailback position. We feel like there's 8 guys with that have good skills and can play at the college level.
And then when you look at
sorry, Ryan, go ahead.
I'm sorry. I was going to mention that when you look at the roster last year to now, it shows that Malik has gained 14 pounds. Is there a sense that him gaining that weight will maybe make him more durable and less likely to have the nagging injuries that he kind of dealt with last year?
We feel like he's worked hard to put some weight on, and we feel like that will help him. We feel like that'll allow him to stay healthy and stay a main guy for us, hopefully all year long.
All right, last one here, Mick.
Yeah, Coach, I was just wondering, I mean, we talked about a lot of different positional battles, but not a quarterback, right? There's a lot of schools out there that are having to find a quarterback, missing spring, missing practices throughout the summer. Just wondering how much of a security blanket is it having Skylar there, a senior quarterback, a known and maybe the most important position on the field?
Yeah, I think it's a huge deal for not just for myself, but for our offense, knowing that if it's 3rd down, he's going to understand how to make it work. He's going to understand how to get the job done. And a big part of offense is, being successful and moving the ball down the field and moving the chains is having a trigger guy that makes things right. In other words, just as an example, let's say that, it's 3rd down and 5 and he sees there's a free access to take a hitch and get a 1st down without having to battle for it. And he has the ability to make that move and make that check and just take the free hitch. That's something that a year ago I'm not sure he would have felt comfortable doing, and now he does, and that helps us tremendously as an offense.